Hey Stampers, welcome to Brandy's Cards. I hope you're doing good and I hope that you're enjoying your holiday catalog. I know all the catalogs are out there and I've been getting emails and there's just so much buzz and excitement about a lot of the cards and the projects inside. So I hope that you're starting to think about yours, and I'm excited today. I'm coming to you with a 10 and 20. I know it's been forever since I've done one of those, so I'm super excited. And this was just the perfect stamp set for this. So Stampin' Up! Is releasing a new Snowflake showcase. It's absolutely stunning and it's going to be released November 1st. So have a look here. I'm going to show you the flyer. So the Snowflake showcase goes live November 1st. It's while supplies last, and the last day to purchase it is November 30th. So have a look here. So these are the samples on the front that Stampin' Up! Had put together. And then here on the back, this is the Snow is Glistening stamp set. That's what we're going to use today. And then Happiness Surrounds, which is also adorable. And then right down here are these Snowflake trinkets. They're absolutely gorgeous. And then Snowflake, Snowfall Thinlit dies. And I always love to create with snowflakes. And so this was just such a beautiful array and lots of variety for layering and for making ornaments and all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you have a look at that. And then the white velvet sheets, those are like the velvety white, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like super cool. It's like really cool. Okay, anyway, so that is the upcoming Snowflake showcase. And so I got some of my product in the mail and I was super excited. So we're gonna use the stamp set. Let me just reach over here and grab it. So we are gonna use the Snow is Glistening stamp set. So have a look here. This is the tree that we're gonna use today, and we're gonna use Granny Apple Green. Those are the colors, Granny Apple Green and Real Red and Early Espresso. So that is the colors that we're using today. And here's the card. Let's have a look. See? So you've got your snowflakes here in the background, your Early Espresso, and then the Granny Apple Green. You've got a nice border, the tree, your snowflakes. We put a nice Merry Christmas banner on here. And then when you open it up, check that out. We stamped the inside of our card. We added some snowflakes, some little flurries in there, and the word joy. So I just thought it was a fun little addition to this card. All right, so today's a 10 and 20. If you're new to my website, you know, this is kind of a way for me to show you how I make multiple cards and kind of the process of making them. It's not about how fast I'm doing it. That is not what it's about. It's about just kind of showing you my thought process and how I try to make my cards in multiples for my customers, my family, my friends, and that sort of thing. Okay, so what I do first is I have already cut all of my cardstock. It's just like cooking a beautiful cake. You gotta get all your ingredients ready, right? You can't just jump in, because I've often done cooking before that way and it doesn't turn out as well. So to start this process, get all of your ingredients, get everything in order. So all you can do is don't start doing your stamping. All right, so let's do that. So let's start off here by folding our Whisper White card bases in half. Now, of course, you can use a bone folder to do your creases. Definitely makes a really nice crease. I generally just work using my fingers, but you can do it however you would like. So, but a bone folder does help with a nice crease on that cardstock. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fold all of these. And as I do that, I do want to mention that all of the sizes and the dimensions are on brandyscards.com. So if you're looking for the sizes and the dimensions of this project, don't worry, just visit brandyscards.com, type in the search bar, Snow is Glistening, and this project should come up for you. You can even type in there snowflake, because I'm going to absolutely use snowflakes as one of those tags. All right? So we've got a couple more here to fold in half. And once we do that, the next thing I'm going to do is work on my Early Espresso, my Early Espresso background. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just set this aside. And now I have my early espresso background. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take one of our snowflakes that I've mounted, and I'm just gonna stamp it. Just randomly stamp my background with my snowflake. And just kind of take your time, but just randomly stamp around. Now keep in mind that because you're gonna put your tree there in the middle, you don't have to stamp the whole thing, see? And that's because you've got just kind of the edge is really all you're focused on because, you've got the tree there in the middle. So that works really nice. And, if you wanted to, you could certainly switch it up and you could add some of the other snowflakes if you'd like. So just randomly stamp your snowflakes. And, I always like to kind of put a mat down so that so that I can keep my space clean. Sometimes I find when you stamp a lot on the same spot, sometimes the ink might kind of come off a little bit too. So just, keep that in mind. All right. So we're just going to stamp a few more and let's see how many we have here. Looks like we've got about 4 done. And I'm just going to kind of keep rotating through here. This stamp set is absolutely lovely, and it's only available until November 30th, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hopefully we'll see it again, but I'm not too sure about that. All right, so let's just keep working through here. Now, when I ordered mine, I didn't realize that I left off my framelits. So today I actually stamped my snowflakes and then I cut them out, which, I would recommend purchasing the snowflake thinlits because then they just punch. You can just die cut those suckers right out. It is a lot easier than my method, which was stamp them and cut them out for you today. So it does take a while to do that. It would have been a lot nicer had I had the thinlits. So just so you know, it's, I would recommend those thinlits to kind of punch them out. They do have, the thinlits do coordinate with these snowflakes. So you can just kind of, stamp it and then put your thinlit over it and die cut it out. So as I'm working through here, just kind of ink it up each time, definitely would do that. Because you're stamping it on early espresso with early espresso ink, you do kind of want a nice crisp image, right? So if you don't ink it up each time, which sometimes we want that look, kind of the stamped off look, but in this instance, I do want my snowflake to be very visible and to be prominent and to show off all its beauty and its glory, if you will. So, just kind of think about that when you're stamping. Now it looks like we are down to our last one. And we've just got a few more stamps on here. And then we're going to move on to our Christmas tree. All right, so does that look good? I think that looks pretty good. I am happy with that. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to set my early espresso cardstock or ink pad just kind of off to the side for a second. Now what I'm going to do is bring in my Whisper White rectangle that I've pre-cut for my Christmas tree. Now I've got Granny Apple Green, I've got my Christmas tree, and I am going to ink that up. Now I enjoyed stamping this tree. I actually stamped it in several different colors, and I absolutely loved every single one of them. So isn't that just beautiful? Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. So we have 10 of these to stamp. So I have to tell you, when I was working with this Christmas tree, I couldn't help but think of my mother-in-law and her sister, Debbie. So every year, Debbie purchases a pin, a special Christmas tree pin for all the ladies in the family. And it is just, they're just so beautiful and just such a gift that I treasure and I just love having. And so anyway, each year she gives us a Christmas pin, and this one's mine, and I have several of them. My husband and I have been married for a while, Yeah, so what, 15, 16 years? And so I have a lot of pins now, and I just absolutely treasure them. So thank you, Debbie. And when it gets to be this time of the year, I just can't hardly wait to wear them on my sweaters and my shirts and that sort of thing. So I have enough pins now that I can rotate them and wear them a couple of times during the holiday season. So anyway, when I was working with this tree, I was thinking of Debbie and those beautiful pins that she sends me. All right, so I'm gonna just keep on stamping. I've only got like 3 of these left. And then we're gonna start gluing some stuff down and doing all that good stuff here. So I'm inking it up each time. And again, we're doing that because I want it to have that full, crisp image. Aren't those just beautiful? Oh my word. So pretty, so pretty. Now again, this is the Snow is Glistening stamp set, and it's only available November 1st through November 30th of 2018. And it is while supplies last, and I do think this one is going to be very popular. It's just stunning. Okay, so I have some Granny Apple Green cardstock, and I've already pre-cut it. So let's go ahead and just start gluing stuff down. So I've pre-cut it, and I've got my tree stamped, and I'm going to center it right inside the Granny Apple Green. Now I'm using liquid adhesive here, and you know, you might find that you might like snail better. I'm not sure, but you could either use you know, a liquid adhesive or a snail or whatever works best for you. I find that when I use my liquid adhesive, it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. That's why I really, really like it, because, you know, the glue is a little wet. Now, you don't want too much glue because then you get those awful bubbles, of course. But you know, if you just put just a wee bit on there, and then when you put it onto your cardstock or to the mat, it gives you a little bit of an opportunity to kind of have some wiggle room, if you will, and kind of wiggle it into place. So that's why I really enjoy, because many of you have asked me in the past. I do get emails as to why I like liquid adhesive, and that's one of the reasons. Now, I also love it because I feel like I can work faster and I can go a lot farther with it. But again, it's all what you're used to and what you enjoy using. That's all that matters. So let's just keep adding these down to our mats. And again, all of the sizes and the dimensions will be on Brandy's cards. So don't worry about that. I promise you, I will share these with you, and I'll also share with you a PDF download too. And so my hope for you is that you'll print the download and that you'll put it in an idea or inspiration book. That's my hope, because you know, you could always take this exact layout and change the stamp set that you use if you don't have this one, or maybe you want to do a different card and you have this idea book that you can flip through and you know, find some inspiration as you're sitting there in your craft room and you're getting ready to create. All right, so I'm putting together the very last tree. Now I'm going to move over to gluing down my early espresso. And so these are going to go right on the top of my card base. And when I add these to the top of my card, I want it to kind of go all the way flush down to the bottom. So I generally just kind of do a little tap tap, you know, and then it kind of works its way to the bottom. Now, if you're using liquid adhesive, I do recommend that you try to get as close to the edges that you can. But when I say that with caution, because as you know, liquid adhesive, if you get a little too much, it can get a little bubbly on the edges, right? And all of a sudden, your fingers are like glued to it. So just, you know, be cautious of that as you're working through. But I do recommend trying to get fairly close to the edge. And that's just so it doesn't look a little wonky when it's coming up. All right. So we've got a couple more of these guys to glue down. All right. Now, if you guys are interested in placing an order, don't forget to look for the host code. So last month's host code, or actually I should say this month, October, You know, I offered the Real Red Stampin' Blends, a pack of them, and I'm so excited. I created a beautiful tag with the Angels on Earth stamp set and a card for my host code, for the folks that use the host code. And I'm going to be sending that out in the next few days, and I'm so excited for everybody to receive them. So if you're interested in placing an order and your order qualifies, be sure to go to my blog, brandyscards.com, and on the right-hand side, you're going to see the host code. And that is the code that you're going to want to enter in, and then I'll, of course, send you that gift after I close the code and I receive them. And then I'll be send that to you. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know. And if you're going, oh, Brandy, I've already placed an order and I didn't realize there was a host code to get a free gift, no worries, just email me and I'll give you the information about how to call Stampin' Up! And to ask them to kindly add that for you. So that's not a big deal at all. So don't worry about that. Okay, so here we go. We've got our Granny Apple green trees. And I'm just going to lay these guys out. Now, why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing that because I've got to add some Stampin' Dimensionals. Now, I don't have to add the Stampin' Dimensionals, but I really like the way the Stampin' Dimensionals look, okay? And now, one thing you just do want to keep in mind, it is a fairly big rectangle, right? So you just want to make sure that you know, you put enough on here that it's not going to kind of sag in the middle, if you will. That's one thing I kind of worry about, but generally that doesn't happen, but you never know. So I always try to put at least, well, depending on how big the rectangle is, I always put 4 for sure, maybe 5 for the middle, and this guy I just feel like needs 6. And I just liked the way that this was popped up. I thought it kind of gave a really nice, unique look. Just kind of added a little bit of dimension to this, to the card. All right. So what I like to do is, you know, I just like to get these Stampin' Dimensionals down, and it looks like I've got about 3 or 4 left. And I put these Stampin' Dimensionals down, and then I go through and I pick off my backs. And I do this process often for thank you notes and for baby shower invitations, bridal invitations, you know, bridal showers, you name it. I love making cards for my friends and family and that sort of thing, as well as my customers. And so I'm always looking for ways to kind of, you know, be efficient because I have other things I gotta do too. So I've just gotta kind of stay efficient. So right now I'm going through and I'm pulling off my Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm not pulling them off actually. I'm just pulling the backs off is what I'm doing. We don't want to pull our Stampin' Dimensionals off. That would not be good. Not after we just stuck them down, right? And so now I like to use both of my hands when I do this process. But of course, you know, you do what's best for you. But I do enjoy just kind of pulling these guys off with both of my hands and sticking them down. You know, and a lot of that has to do with the fact it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, no one sees these guys anyway, so it doesn't have to be on there any special way. And so once we get these off, it looks like we've got about 1 more to do. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move into putting them on our card base. Here we go. We've got them off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move a couple to the side, and I have my card base, and I'm just going to center it right here on my card base. Now, have any of you ever created a project and then went, oh, I totally forgot to stamp something? Well, that has just happened here. I forgot the trunk. But you know what? We're just going to go ahead and give it a try, and it should be okay. See that? That is the beauty of photopolymer. So let's go ahead and as we stamp them, or as we set our, and as we put the trees on our card, we'll go ahead and we'll add our trunk. But just so you know, ideally the trunk to the tree should have been stamped ahead of time. But you know, there is no right or wrong in stamping. The only problem is when you stamp the trunk afterwards, you just got to be really careful that it gets on there. This doesn't get on, you know, that it stamps straight just because you have Stampin' Dimensionals behind it. but we didn't really put any dimensionals in that particular location. So it's totally going flat and it looks really nice. So that's good. So let's just keep on going and keep centering these guys on our card. I'm so excited. I actually did some other samples with this stamp set for you too, and I can't wait to show them to you. You know, it's just kind of playing with the blues and some of the different colors, and I just thought it turned out great. So I'm looking forward to sharing those with you too. So it looks like we have about 3 or 4 more of these to stick down, and we're adding our trunk because we forgot to do that ahead of time when we were doing all of our stamping, but that's okay. We're improvising today, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So thank goodness it worked for us beautifully. So I'm just going to add that here. Great. And I've got 2 more to stick down. There's 1, just like that, and here is 2. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to finish with our trunks. There's 1, and there is 2. Perfect. Okay, so now how about we stamp our banners and we add our snowflakes, and then our cards will be done today. So how are we going to do the banners? Well, let me tell you, I kept trying to figure out how I wanted to do my my sentiment, and what I decided was to take an early espresso marker and just color on my Merry Christmas. Now, because I thought the Merry Christmas was so it was so pretty, and I loved the font, but I didn't want the whole message necessarily. So I went ahead and thought, okay, how can I get the Merry Christmas without that whole message? And what I did is I just used my early espresso marker and colored on the stamp to get that. Now you could certainly stamp this message on the inside, right? So there's plenty of room to do that. But with the card itself that we're creating today, I felt like it sort of took away from our tree by having that big message. So that's why I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna color on my stamp and then just transfer that over. Now remember, I'm using a Stampin' Write marker today, which is great because when you use a Stampin' Write marker, you can absolutely color on your stamps. It doesn't hurt your stamps one bit. It is water-based, so it's perfect for that. One of the nice things that, I enjoy about coloring on my stamps is that literally I could color the Merry Christmas and early espresso like I'm doing, but then I could also go in here and color the bottom of the stamp another color. So it gives me more flexibility, right? More opportunity to kind of have control over my image versus having to do it all in one color. So that is the beauty of the Stampin' Write markers. I absolutely love them. Love them. Now, some of you guys might have the alcohol markers. Those are fantastic too, but those serve a different purpose. And you don't want to use those to color on your stamps because that will dry out your stamps, and that's just not good for your stamps. Those are alcohol. Those that have alcohol, they're alcohol based, and so those are for shading and for blending. So if you haven't had the opportunity to experience an alcohol marker, you definitely want to do that. Get a combo. Stampin' Up, we sell them in light and in dark, and we do that on purpose so that you have 2 of the same color. One is a light shade, one is a dark shade, and that gives you the opportunity to do that blending. You will definitely feel very artistic, but it does take a little bit of practice. You can't just jump in there and think you're going to be perfect at first. You have to kind of give it some time to kind of get used to it, okay, and learn how to do it. All right, so let's go ahead and finish our card today. I have some mini glue dots, and I'm just going to go ahead and take my little sentiment, place it right across my tree, and I'm going to add my snowflake right there. Perfect. All right, and so this basically, now you could glue this down, you could pop it up if you wanted to. There's so many different options, but I just find a couple of mini glue dots is super easy, and you can just stick these sentiments right down. You know, and I do want it to be the focus, to be the beautiful tree and the snowflake. So again, you know, you could add a Stampin' Dimensional behind that snowflake if you felt like it. Or some glue or whatever works best for you. And now I did cut my banners ahead of time too. So I have a scrap bin of white card. So I have to tell you a funny story. So somebody sent me an email not too long ago and they said, Brandy, how do you keep your scraps? Oh my goodness. I took a picture and I sent it back and said, I am so embarrassed to share with you that my scraps look like this. And so my scraps were in like a ginormous box. And oh my word, I need some help with that. But at any rate, it is what it is. And that's what my scraps are. But I do keep a special box of all of my Whisper White scraps as well. And that is a special box that's just full of white pieces of all shapes and all sizes. And I find that this little strip here is a size that I have often. And I'm not sure if that's just because of, you know, cutting for, you know, projects and so forth, but I always have this size left. And so I went ahead just to save a little bit of time today, and I just sort of cut my own little banner, if you will, because I thought that was a really nice touch. But again, you can just, you know, kind of whatever works for you. So it looks like I've got 2 cards left. There's one. And then we have, I got one left after this. All right. And then the very last card, Merry Christmas. Now, of course, if you have a different sentiment or something you want to put on there, you certainly can. I'm going to stick this guy down and add my last snowflake. And I'm going to stick it right there. Okay, so these are my fun Christmas cards. Now you could have embellished these with rhinestones. You can embellish these with pearls. You know, there are so many different ways that you can embellish these cards. You can also stamp the inside, so have a look here. So on this card, I actually stamped the insides and then added a little bit of the red snowflakes as well. All of those stamps are in the Snow is Glistening stamp set. So I would just say have fun with it. There's no right or wrong way into how to stamp any of these cards. It's all about just having fun and jumping in there and making your own homemade Christmas cards. Your friends and family are going to love them, and they're absolutely going to know that you created them. And so that's definitely a special gift. So thank you so much for stopping by Brandy's Cards. Let me know if you have any questions. I sure do appreciate all of you out there, and I'm so excited to be coming into the holiday season. So if you need me, let me know. I'm going to have gift certificates available that you can purchase for your loved ones and your crafty friends. So watch out for that. That's going to be coming. You can also fill out a wish list, and then I can email that to your family and friends too, to let them know of some things that you might really like for Christmas. Okay? Thanks for stopping by. I sure do appreciate it. Have a blessed day. Bye, everybody.